This week on our show, we trade the high roads for the high seas as we head south to the Caribbean. The MS Koningsdam will take us to 7 islands in the southern Caribbean, where we'll zip line in St. Lucia, do a little group rum tasting in Barbados, meet our AAA Dream Vacation winners, all the while enjoying the warm blue waters. Our boat's coming in to dock, and a whole bunch of people are excited for showtime.
Hi everybody, and welcome to another excellent adventure, which of course means another excellent show. Thank you very much. Some of you may recognize Fort Lauderdale as it fades into the sunset, and we are headed south to the Southern Caribbean on our 7th annual Highroads cruise. We're excited about seeing some new islands and all those great beaches, and we're really excited about our first time on Holland America's newest ship, the MS Koningsdam.
The MS Koningsdam isn't just a new ship, it's a new class of ship for Holland America Lines. It's noticeably bigger from the outside, but that warm, familiar friendliness of all Holland ships is just the same. What all that extra room on the inside really means is more amenities, more specialty restaurants, more shopping, roomier lounges, and a plush setting for your vacation. It was all quite a bit different when Hotel Director Don Habits boarded the ship in Venice 2 months before its first sailing.
What was it like when you got on here? It's beautiful now, but I bet it looked different.
It's very interesting to see the things develop and happen, right? You see all this beautiful furniture, carpet, and the finishings. It was all plain steel and cable ceilings and nothing else, and no windows, so it was still chilly, right?
Now, one of the things our fellow passengers are really noticing about this brand new ship is the incredible artwork. Holland America spent more than $4 million on paintings, mosaics, and some of the most incredible sculptures you've ever seen. And let me tell you, people love it. At my end of the ship, some fascinating pictures that are optical illusions. The miniature people making a face, the typewriter keys, and the bubble wrap. There's some really interesting things that you kind of have to spend a little time and stare at before it clicks. Was that just to have fun?
The artists wanted to make sure that people take an extra look at what they have.
Now, in my humble opinion, 2 of the best new additions to the Koningsdam are all the electrical outlets and USB ports that have been added to the rooms, and a wonderfully unique offering called Blend, which our son bought for us as a joint birthday gift. Blend features the wines of Chateau San Michel in Washington State. You pick your blend from 4 different wines. It's then carefully mixed in a test tube beaker thingy, and with a little of this and a little of that, you are now the master of the pour.
And what did I do here?
You did 40, 20, 25, 50.
Oh,
Fortunately, my wife has a much better palate than I do, so our takeaway bottle was my wife's blend, which we called Birthday Wishes. Just across from Blend is another new offering, the Culinary Arts Center, where we got a little insight into taking a simple piece of cake and turning it into a dessert that will make you look like the sommelier of cheesecake.
There you have simple dessert, simply elegant.
Elegant is a pretty good description of the Koningsdam, from inside the ship to the beautiful lighting out around the aft pool, which may have been my favorite place in the evening. But as a wannabe mariner, I was anxious to see the changes up on the bridge. Now, elegant may not be the word to use here, but other words like the latest technology, advanced weather forecasting, and the most sophisticated navigation maps on the Earth are all good descriptions. All that said, the folks up here say they're still sailors first, but they do have a boatload of tools right there at their fingertips.
the way we're operating our bridge, it's devoid of rank, it's function-based, and Jesse, our third officer, may find themselves, taking the ship out or maneuvering the ship in, and that they would be fulfilling the function of navigator for that evolution. It doesn't really matter what rank they're in.
That must make you feel pretty powerful to take this huge ship out.
Yeah, it's amazing. I've had it quite a few times where I'm walking around the ship and say, oh, what do you do? What do you do? I say I'm a third officer, and actually I drove the ship out last night, and they say, really? Like, how old are you? But no, it's amazing.
Indeed, the entire ship is amazing, and with 10 days of cruising ahead of us and 73 fellow AAA members joining us for our 7th Highroads cruise, there was only one small detail we needed to tend to.
I'm going to say thank you very much for joining us. We're off to a great start, and the best is yet to come. So cheers to all of you. Well, now we're in Barbados, and this is Group Tour Day. And we are going to see the best of Barbados as we travel around the island. And we're also going to do a little rum tasting, which I believe is well underway. The adventure continues when we come back.
Our group tour is always one of the highlights of our Highroads cruise. This year, our group of 73 headed out for a taste of Barbados, and taste it we did. As we wound our way from west to east coast through small villages, across the countryside, and with the coastline as a constant companion. One of our favorites was here in Bathsheba, where these incredible rock features just off the beach left everyone in awe. Well, it turns out these rocks are a geologic timeline of Barbados.
Now, just to balance things out a little bit, this rock behind me is coral limestone, maybe 500 to 600,000 years old, and this is the base of the island. About 83% of Barbados is made up of coral limestone. Here at the beach, it started to erode, making a picture-perfect place to stop.
Barbados was the most southern stop of the Highroads cruise, taking us almost all the way to Venezuela. And when you come this far, a visit to St. John's Church with its Gothic architecture is a must stop and see. There's a lot of history in this graveyard, even one grave where a man was buried standing up because he never sat down on the job. In addition to the architecture and history of St. John's, you also get some pretty spectacular ocean views of the island's eastern coastline.
Thank you for being with us here today.
Our next stop was the Sunbury Plantation, a 300-year-old sugar plantation where the main house has been kept in pristine condition and gave all of us a peek at what colonial life was like here in the Caribbean. Sunbury was also the place where our minds and our rummy tum-tums learned all about the history of the rum trade.
First rum ever to be made, Mount Gay. This one is dated 1703. This is the one that we love and enjoy and drink these days. But originally, the Mount Gay would have been trying rum out for many years, and in the mid-1600s, they had one that they used to call Kill Devil. You know why? It was brewed in lead pipes.
No lead rum for us, instead, a valuable lesson in mixology from the lively locals who live what they teach.
We must focus on accurate measures. It's very important. Now your falernum, and it's called a corn and oil. The falernum is the oil. You see the texture of it. Lovely and strong. You must use accurate measures at all times. All right, that one's out.
In fact, you could call this a sip of Barbados. Lots of sips, and smiles, and toast, and sometimes a little shock to the system.
But there were a couple that were strong, but it's not that I didn't drink them. It just took a little bit going down.
Now, if Sharon looks familiar, you may recognize her from earlier this year when we surprised her as our Dream Vacation winner. And there were lots of toasts to their good fortune.
This is a dream. It's a dream come true. Everything has been first class. Everything has been perfect. and I couldn't ask for more. It really is a wonderful experience.
Still a shock.
And I thank you, and I thank AAA. I just can't even believe it. You really do win.
To complete our education, or rum run as some called it, our next stop was the Foursquare Rum Distillery. Here at this working distillery, you get a great idea just how rum is made, all the way down to how it is aged in oak barrels. And fortunately, that does away with those deadly lead pipes. It was a great way to round out our day on Barbados and, of course, get another chance to do some sipping of that great Caribbean rum. All this with our new friends from our Highroads cruise with Holland America.
We are now traveling through the rainforest of St. Lucia Island. It is a fascinating ecosystem to learn about and see as we travel down the mountain on a tram. But trust me, the pace is about to pick up as we go zip time on the zip line. We'll be right back.
The 30-minute trip from port to perch is an education in itself, as the drive gives you a good look at everyday life in St. Lucia before we reached our rainforest adventure at Rainforest Adventures.
Everything okay?
Yeah, that's good. All right, ready to go.
Lots of people were here to zip line. Others came for the aerial tram. And some, like us, came here to do both.
And we're off.
And where are we going?
We're heading into the Castries Waterworks Reserve, one of our first protected rainforests.
The original intent of this reserve was to provide water for the island's capital city. It's now just one of several water catchments on this volcanic island.
So this rainforest occupies an area of 3,442 acres of land, all of that managed and protected by government.
Rainforests are one of Mother Nature's most complex ecosystems, which of course means it's also one of the most fascinating. Take a look at what they call liana stem vines that work their way up a tree, which is often a ficus. They're not parasites, just a plant looking for a little support. The aerial tram is a great way to see the canopy of the rainforest. Walking will show you even more, like the five-finger fruit, or as we call it in the US of A, the star fruit.
It's like apple juice. See right there? That's the juice.
Juiced up, we were ready for the fastest way to see the rainforest, by zip line, of course.
Welcome to platform number 1.
You know, I have done the zip lines before, so if you guys need any tips or a couple of good ideas on what, you don't want to hear about it, do you?
Yeah, you're good.
Ready? Yeah, sure, go ahead, let me go.
On this side?
Wait a minute, let me stand up.
Let me help you with that. Right there.
See, I told you I'd done this before.
There are 18 platforms on the Adrenaline here at Rainforest Adventures, and groups are no larger than 8, so there's less waiting and more zipping. Joining me on this trip was my son Kyle, a first-time zipliner, and the first time he'd ever joined me here on the Highroads.
Sexy landing.
Yeah, can you tell he's related to me?
And both of us loved the leap using the Tarzan swing.
You call it Tarzan swing, I'm singing George of the Jungle. Watch out for that tree. Watch out for that tree.
Thanks for dancing.
Nailed it.
And then it was my son's turn, and my hope that he could stick the landing too.
He wasn't breathing.
You're not your dad, but you're coming along, son.
Ziplining through the rainforest offers some unique opportunities for observing Mother Nature, especially with Jesse's eagle eye for spotting small, colorful birds.
Welcome to the 7th line, second to last one, the longest line. We've already accomplished 6 lines, so we're gonna go across the longest one, going over the stream.
Now, there's one thing that all of us hipster zippers know all too well, that zip lines may be fast, but the fun time goes even faster.
They're getting ready to go across the final line for the free feed up, 256 feet across.
Ready?
All right, thanks for all your help. All righty, righty, righty. This is our very last leg of the zip line. Coming in pretty good speed and coming in pretty darn satisfied and finally nailed the landing. Nice, thank you very much.
No problem, buddy.
We have just a few more stops on our cruise to the Southern Caribbean, so when we return, we're doing a little island hopping, including to some places that will make you feel like you're in France, right here in the Caribbean. Don't go away. We covered a lot of ocean on our Southern Caribbean cruise, and we visited a number of islands. For me, coming into port is always interesting because it's such a precise exercise. The harbors are deep enough to be safe, but still shallow enough that the ship's thrusters stir up a lot of mud and small fish, which are pushed to the surface to the delight of hungry birds. Everything secured, it's safe to disembark the ship and say hello to our first landfall, St. John's, Antigua. Our welcome was almost Mardi Gras-like, with festive music and fully costumed characters celebrating our arrival. Now, we didn't stick around long at the port shopping area, first, because we're guys, and second, because we wanted to see some everyday places. First, we made a quick stop at the Historic Museum before heading up to the city's most prominent landmark, St. John's Cathedral. The cathedral was consecrated in 1848, and services have been held here ever since. The interior is now undergoing a massive renovation. It was just outside the church we asked a taxi driver to show us a little bit more of the island and its history. That led us to Fort James, originally built in 1709 by the British to protect its territory from the French. It's now pretty overgrown, but the numerous cannons are easily visible and easily tell the story of when this peaceful piece of paradise was a war zone of colonial conquerors. Fort James Beach is definitely one of the prettiest on the island, and if there was ever the perfect picture of a Caribbean island, it was here with some of the happiest horse riders you've ever seen. Antigua is also where some of our Highroads cruisers tried their hand at snorkeling in the clear, warm water. The next island we visited was Guadeloupe. One of the things that makes Guadeloupe so interesting is that it's a so-called overseas department of France, so it's fully considered French soil, just like Paris. That means French license plates and cafe goers paying in euros. This young lady asked if she could be on our TV show. We said we'd be pleased, and she said thank you. Since it was Sunday, many of the shops were closed, but one place that was open on a Sunday was the St. Pierre and St. Paul Church. It was destroyed by an earthquake in 1843, then rebuilt in 1867. It's now nicknamed the Iron Cathedral because of its sturdy girders and decorative ironwork. It was a perfect ending to a most enjoyable port of call, with Mother Nature closing things out with a gorgeous Caribbean sunset. The one thing you could say about a Holland America cruise is the sun never sets on the fun, and the sunrise greets you with incredible views of your next port of call, in this case, Martinique. Martinique is another overseas region of France, so like Guadeloupe, we were actually coming into France, right where the Atlantic meets the Caribbean. Fort-de-France is the largest city on the island and the site of 14 major battles between the British and the French colonial forces. We decided to take one of the local ferries across the bay to a small harbor town of Les Trois Îles, or the Three Islands. There's a beautiful little small boat harbor here, some evidence of recent hurricanes, and just about the biggest rainstorm we've ever seen on a Highroads cruise.
Normally the weather is better,
Here you can do a lot of things. You can do jet ski, flyboard, kneeboard, a lot of activity.
And too soon it was time to leave our new friends and head back to the ship. And the start of our return to normal life, but with some glorious memories that we'll all take with us.
So, with that, I think it's time to say, get a drink, Dan. So, to some of the best 10 days we've ever experienced, and thank you all for joining us, and to seeing you again somewhere on the high roads and the high seas. Cheers.
Special promotional consideration for today's show was provided by Holland America Line.
Yeah, Laura, I haven't lost a thing since last year. Once again, the new knee's really paying off.